This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most, so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. So Dalton and I have disagreed on 2 through 10, 2 through 25.
Pretty much everything, yeah.
Pretty much everything. The clear number one running back in this draft by a country mile. Dalton, I'll say it right now, the gap between the number one player at this position and the next player, I would say is bigger than any other gap at any other position. Maybe, I would say Dylan Thieneman's probably closer to Caleb Downs than RB2 is to Jeremiyah Love. Probably Ty Simpson's closer to Mendoza than this too.
It would not shock me to the point where if Jeremiyah Love was taken in the first round, maybe even top 10, it wouldn't shock me if we didn't see another back taken in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That would not shock me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jeremiyah Love, of course, the number one running back in this draft. And just, man, he entered this year as our clear-cut number one running back in college football, and he ended the year as our clear-cut number one running back in college football. Elite production over the last 2 years at Notre Dame as a runner and as a receiver. 90-plus PFF grades, both in 2024 and in 2025. Over the last 2 years, Jeremiyah Love has a 95.3 PFF grade. That's best of any running back in the country, including Ashton Jeanty and his unbelievable season that we saw last year too. 96.4 rushing grade over the last 2 years. 80 receiving grade over the last 2 years. Easily the most valuable running back according to PFF's wins above average metric of any running back that I've scouted. And he's a threat to house it anywhere on the field, man. 12% breakaway run rate this year. He was a state champion sprinter in high school, and you could tell why. He's got top-tier speed, top-tier acceleration for his position. He hit over 22 miles an hour this year, according to our tracking data. He runs through contact, has elite balance, 33% forced missed tackle rate on runs since 2024 is the best of any running back in this class. 40% forced missed tackle rate on catches over the last 2 years is one of the best marks of any running back in this class as well. The acceleration to pick up yards after contact after he breaks a tackle, he averaged 4.5 yards after contact per carry since 2024. Easily the best of any running back that I've scouted. Scheme versatile, 90-plus grades in gap and zone grade over the last 2 years. Only one fumble in his career on nearly 500 touches. Natural receiver, can even line up in the slot and run routes like a wideout. Pretty good pass blocker, too. The few negatives that I had for Jeremiyah Love, which is very hard to come up with his elite tape, doesn't have great power. At only 214 pounds, he is explosive through contact, but he won't really drive with his legs when guys are holding him up that much. So I don't think he's got elite power out there. Can sometimes be a little indecisive with his vision. His cuts can be a little bit choppy at times, which slows down his momentum. And he loves to get hurdle and get airborne too. So I think it's maybe his coach at the next level will be like, listen, they're electric plays, some of the most draw-dropping plays you ever see in college football. But also, he hasn't gotten hurt too much yet. Yeah, he's battled some minor injuries in college. Little bit of injury concern whenever you see him, jump as high as he does in the air. My early comp right now, Dalton, is Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. I think Jeremiyah Love is one of the best running back prospects in recent memory, up there with Ashton Jeanty, up there with Bijan Robinson, up there with Saquon Barkley. Explosive athletic ability, and has been elite for 2 years in a row with the Fighting Irish. I think he's well worth a top 10 pick in a draft that's this wide open at the top, and especially if you need a running back in the top 10, with I think how much of a drop-off there is after Jeremiyah Love, I would have no qualms taking this guy in the top 10.
Paging Mickey Loomis and the New Orleans Saints. That's the match that I'm going to continue to preach. Like last year I did, same pick, 8th overall pick, when I was screaming for the Panthers to take Tedderell McMillan, and now he's the offensive rookie of the year. New Orleans, I think, is the very first team that should really think about this. Top 10, 8th overall pick, second worst rushing grade in the league last year. We'll get to that part on the NFL side later. But you mentioned it. That was a long checklist of things that Jeremiyah Love can do, and that's how good he's been, right? Obviously, we had Ashton Jeanty the couple of years before, so I probably would still put him a little bit behind Jeanty. I love Jeanty's vision and his ability to break tackles. You mentioned, though, with Jeremiyah Love, he's the one back in this class. And we saw it in person. When they played Indiana, we saw the 98-yard run in person. We were like, holy hell, that is just a different animal than any other guy on this field. He's the one back in this class where, like Bijan, like Jahmyr Gibbs, like you mentioned, like almost like Chris Johnson used to be like this too, where it's just every single snap he's on the field, you go, well, that guy can score. Yep. He actually legitimately, the speed strikes fear into defenses.
Like a 97-yarder against Boston College this year, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you're on your own 1-yard line, you can still score
from anywhere on the field. I think it's over the last 3 years. I believe he is tied for second with – there was another back in this class, actually, with Robert Henry from UTSA is another guy on this list. Over the last 3 years, okay, Jeremiyah Love tied with a couple others behind Ashton Jeanty for the most 40-yard carries, 40-plus yard carries, I should say, in the country. If he turns the corner – if he gets around the outside, just start walking to the sideline. No question about it. It's exactly what we saw when we saw him in the playoff against Indiana. We saw it almost every week this year. What was it against Syracuse? 8 carries for 200 yards or whatever it was. Yeah, something over 20 yards a carry. The one thing, you did mention it, sometimes he's just got to pick his way through the line of scrimmage a little more, especially when his offensive line doesn't necessarily win at the first level. I think there's stretches of games when that happens. I think about even the Miami game. Not that Miami's defensive line wasn't dominating that game. Yeah. They were, and it's tough for any back to work through that. But you see stretches of games where it looks like he's looking for home runs a little bit too much. And look, Chris Johnson, that's another one I mentioned again, where he used to have games like that for the Tennessee Titans. He'd be like, man, he had 12 carries for 25 yards today. What happened? And he just didn't hit the home run. But you know what? You come back the next week, you come back swinging, and all of a sudden it's 12 carries for 180, like Jeremiyah Love has done so many times in his career. So I think when you talk about the combination of everything you just mentioned, the speed, the contact balance, the apparently ability to hurdle anyone he wants at any time, which does maybe need to tone down a little bit. But, hell, if Saquon Barkley can do it backwards,
it's true.
Why can't? That's probably the argument I might have just made Jeremiah's argument for him. But it's so much like those backs where it's Saquon, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, where any given play, you lose a gap, you have poor gap integrity, you let this guy break contain, it's a wrap. He's going to the end zone. So I think when you talk about a legitimate home run hitter, and, he's smaller at 214 pounds. It's kind of average size, right? It's not like, we talked about before with Desmond Reed, where he's $175, right? Like 6 foot and 214 is plenty enough to get it done. And I even think he could, you mentioned it, be a little stronger in his lower body between the tackles. If he adds that part to his game and he just, embraces the workhorse part of it where, okay, maybe there's not always those days where you're going to get 60-yard runs. You're playing the Seattle Seahawks and they have the lowest, explosive run rate allowed in the league, and you got to really grind your way through. Once he learns how to do that, this could be the best back in the league. I think there is that level of potential to be as good as Bijan or Jahmyr or James Cook, those guys that we're talking about. But the home run threat is going to show immediately, even as a rookie. If I'm the Saints or if I'm Kansas City in that top 10, go ahead and do it. Just green light it. Mickey Loomis, especially in New Orleans, just go ahead and green light it 8th overall and worry about the rest later.
So, like we did with the quarterbacks episode with Fernando Mendoza, because I think it was Mendoza was clear-cut QB1. It's not like you're even debating him with any other quarterback in this class. I think it's the same thing with Jeremiyah Love. You're not even debating him with any other running back in this class. The bigger debate, for me at least, is where does he stack up in recent years against other top running back prospects. I think I would have Jeanty above him. Bijan had a special final year at Texas too. That might be another guy I barely put above him. But
the broken tackle previous record that Bijan had set before Jeanty. I mean, that would probably – I'm with you. I think last year, Love would have been RB2. I think I would have put him ahead of Hampton, and I really liked Hampton for sure. I think he would have been probably a sliver behind Jeanty. I just like Jeanty's vision and just consistency a little bit. You know me, I love Ashton Jeanty. I thought he was one of the 4 best players in the draft last year. I think Love would be a little behind him.
I would probably put Jeanty and Bijan above him. I might have him above Saquon, honestly. That's me as a Penn State fan, too. My favorite player ever at Penn State.
Well, I mean, you're going – because Saquon went how high? Did he go
2?
He went 2nd overall?
Yeah.
That's tough. Saquon was such a monster.
He was.
I mean, he was. You know better than anyone.
He was. And I would say Jeremiyah Love, even though my comp was Jahmyr Gibbs, I do think Love coming out was a better prospect than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, Gibbs going first round, 12th overall? That was shocking.
Yeah.
Right? That was legitimately shocking. We were thinking, okay, 2nd, 3rd round. And Gibbs didn't always get the most volume, right, when he was down at Alabama. It was kind of like the Alvin Kamara.
Same like Georgia Tech, too.
It was like the Alvin Kamara thing where it was just like, okay, we think this guy's really good. We just got to see it. Like Love, we've seen it. So I agree with you there where Love would be ahead of Gibbs on a list like that. But when we talk about, okay, maybe he's behind Bijan and it's not by much either.
No,
when I say I would have him behind Ashton Ginty, if I had Ashton Ginty in the top, I've had him in the top 4 player at any position last year. Love is probably top 12 to 15.
Yeah, I was talking with our producer Quinn before the show, and he said that I would make the argument Jeremiyah Love is the best player in this draft right now.
Oh, you could make that argument.
I think it's certainly fair. I think it's him or Caleb Downs.
I think he's. I'm trying to think.
Ruben Bain too. Probably put up
He's
there.
the best offensive player in this draft.
Yeah,
I don't have any question. I watched the top receivers that are in that argument yesterday. I think Love as a prospect is probably higher graded than Mendoza, even though Fernando Mendoza is going to go first. I don't see any of the offensive. I think he's the best offensive player in this draft.
And the fact that, like I said, I think it's a huge drop off to RB2 in this class. I do think he's going top 10 because I do think a team would say, listen, do we want Jeremiyah Love in top 10 and address our needs later on in day 2, some of our other needs on day 2? Because I think it's a big drop-off. Like, I love Jonah Coleman, man. But I think that Jonah Coleman maybe could be a number 1 running back for you at the next level. Maybe. Jeremiyah Love's a guaranteed number 1 running back at the next level.
I think there's more options in the top 10 maybe. Because I keep thinking about the Saints at 8, I think would be the team that would benefit the most. But I go, look, even Arizona at 3. Right, you just mentioned Saquon went 2nd. Bijan went, I think it was 8th overall. I think it was
somewhere,
8.
Yeah.
Arizona at 3, okay? James Conner, 30 years old, coming off a knee injury. Tennessee, I like Tony Pollard. I like Tyjae Spears. This is Jeremiyah Love we're talking about, right? The Giants, I like Cam Scatterbo a lot. Major injury we're coming off.
Yeah.
What if you had Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart, Jeremiyah Love, and John Harbaugh?
And Cam Scatterbo was like a short yardage.
John Harbaugh gets he just saw in Baltimore for the last couple of years. Hey, and he had so many of them throughout the years. Great backs. And what that can do for your offense. The Giants, the Commanders. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? If there's, I know why not is, hey, they need everything on defense, but it's a heavy defensive draft, right? I think if you're a team like that.
Bengals even.
Like
Quinn was even saying Bengals at 10.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Chase Brown, but this kid's special, right? So I think, especially if you're a team like the Commanders or like the Saints need help on their D-line or, the Bengals even, you have the rest of this draft to go defense, right? We did this with Carolina last year where I was screaming, hey, take McMillan first, get your top weapon, and spend the rest of your draft picks on defense. And that's basically what they did. And they won the division.
And he just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
And he just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I think when you look at, again, the depth versus scarcity at certain positions, especially in this draft, to me, that leans even heavier into the defensive side of the ball than last year's class did. I think it's got to be a consideration for a lot of these teams in the top. You can turn around your offense real quick with a home run hitter like that.
And especially with how, I would say, weak this draft is at the top. I know there's no guarantees when projecting guys to the NFL, but this is as close to a guaranteed star, I would say, at running back that you would get.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff, because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.